So, you want to go fast, but that massive turbo and straight through exhaust you bolted onto your Miata just isn't doing it for you anymore. You're gonna have to level up into something a bit more exotic. And thankfully, you don't need to be Jeff Bezos to afford one. And you know that I just snagged this cheap Audi R8, so I know a thing or three about buying cheap supercars. And these are 8 of the cheapest supercars that you can buy today. My favorite is cheaper than a brand new GR Corolla. First, you know nothing says supercar quite like Ferrari, and you can pick up a V8 prancing horse for pennies compared to what it costs new. But to get a Ferrari on a budget, you're gonna be looking at an early 2000s 360. And despite being as old as most of you watching, you still get the full supercar experience. With a 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V8, 400 horsepower, and looks will make all your friends think that you're rich. 360s can even be surprisingly reliable for an exotic. So, as long as you get one with a clean history, you should be good to go. Although, even small problems on a Ferrari can cost a lot of money, racking up big repair bills. But that phenomenal V8 sound will certainly be worth the maintenance, especially if you get the Spider. Like this yellow one we found for 94 grand, which, yeah, I agree is a lot. So, let's show you a supercar that's half the price and just as much fun. Guys, this 700 horsepower GTR and $10,000 cash could be yours, but time is running out. There's only hours left to lock in your entries, and right now, every digital entry that you buy gets a second one free. Don't miss this chance. Double your odds, double your entries, and maybe drive away in this beast with 10,000 bucks cash in your pocket. Click the link below and get entered now before the clock runs out, and hopefully, I am tossing the keys to this car to you. Good skill. And the one you want if you want to spend your days saving the world. You'll want an Aston Martin DB9 to outrun the bad guys. Hands down, is one of the most beautiful cars ever made. An instant classic when it first hit the road in 2004. This may be more of a grand tourer than a supercar, but with that 6-liter V12 up front, you aren't missing out on any of that supercar speed. You'll hit 60 in just 4.5 seconds and 100 in under 10. And you won't hit that top speed limiter until you're going 183 miles per hour. Just save that speed for the Autobahn. You get supercar speeds with a luxury GT interior, and the tech inside may have been bad even for 2004 standards, but the sound of that V12 is way better than anything you can hear on the radio. Early DB9s can be found for as little as 50 stacks. That honestly sounds like an absolute steal of a V12 supercar. Now, for our next car, we're heading back to Italy for what might be my favorite one on this list, the Lamborghini Gallardo. And the Gallardo was one of the first cars ever made under the ownership of Audi. But don't think that that makes it in any way more boring. Oh no, this thing is just as exciting as a Lambo should be. And the Germans, they know a little bit more about reliability than the Italians. So, you know, it actually works. You got the Italian skin with the German engineering. And of course, the best part is that V10 engine, a world full of silent Duracell powered EVs. The sound this car makes is simply intoxicating, and it will make you roll down the window every time that you go through a tunnel. And if you want a car that gets all the attention, this is the one for you. Everyone recognizes Lamborghini, and if you get one in green, bright orange, or Arancio Borealis, as they say in Italy, you'll get as much attention as any modern supercar in the world. So, how much does all this cost, you ask? Well, this one is on the upper end of budget, with them starting at roughly around 120,000 bucks. And when you include that the V10 fuel consumption is at roughly 9 miles per gallon, things can get even more expensive. But there is always a way to get supercar looks for around half the price and using almost no gas at all. BMW. They're the masters at making fast sedans and even faster wagons that can scare off sports cars. But they've never really ever made a proper supercar, right? I mean, I guess they did make the super rare M1 back in the 80s, which was actually the first car to be solely developed by BMW M. But in 2014, that changed with the i8. This mid-engine hybrid looks like it came from the future, with its aggressive styling and cool-looking dihedral doors. Don't let those looks fool ya. as things get a lot less exotic when you look under the hood. You're not gonna find a V8 or even a V6. You'll have to make do with a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder. Now, don't just skip ahead yet. You still get 360 horses to play with. Thanks to the hybrid system, you're gonna get 50 miles to the gallon. Combine that with depreciation, you have yourself a supercar bargain with 2015 models sitting at around 65 grand. And yes, high gas mileage is nice and all, but if you believe there is no replacement for displacement, which is exactly why you're subscribed to Ideal Cars, then you like the next car on this list. When everyone else in this world started downsizing, adding turbos, or just going straight up hybrid, Dodge was that one company that never got the memo, and we're kind of glad that they didn't, because the result was some of the biggest and best engines ever made, from the 5.7 liter Hemi to the 6.2 liter Hellcat, and the one that we're talking about today. Woohoo! The 8.3 liter V10 found in the Viper. And you can now get behind the wheel of this monstrous engine for under 60 grand, with high milers going for around 50, like this 05 SRT10 we found on Auto Tempest, which, by the way, we'll link to all of them down in the description, so you can check them out. Maybe use the Ideal Car strategies to buy one. For that, you get 510 horsepower, a top speed of 195 miles per hour, and a 6-speed manual. Yes, a 6-speed, which you can save the manuals by snagging our best-selling T up here. Now, there will probably never be another supercar like the Viper, so the fact that they can be had for almost half the original sticker price is seriously tempting. But if you're a different breed and you like the V10 mounted behind the driver, well then you're gonna have to look to Germany and the Audi R8. Now, the first generation R8 changed the game for supercars forever, and they have aged better than your boy because, well, I don't know, being a YouTuber is kind of tough work. The R8, when it came out, gave you all the power that you could want with the ability to use it every single day. It was a new supercar. And whether you went for the V8 with a manual like I did, which I think is the better of the two motors, or the 5.2 liter V10, it really is just an ideal supercar. And if you want to watch me buy the cheapest R8 in the nation, go check it out up here. It came with a bunch of surprises. Since I know that you want speed, let's talk about the V10 here. With the R8 V10, you're basically getting everything from the Lambo Gallardo that we were talking about earlier at a much lower price. And you can find plenty of V10 R8s listed between 90 and 100 grand. And to get the same performance, you're gonna need at least another 20 grand to get into a Gallardo. So with that extra cash that I just saved you, you could add a couple of snails and have yourself one of the fastest cars on the street. And if you want something that has turbos straight from the factory, Britain, they have you covered with the McLaren 12C. They're known for making absurdly fast cars, from the legendary F1 to the tech-forward P1 to the ugly but incredible performance of the Senna. And when they're not on fire, they are the king of the track. And while the Senna will set you back over $1 million, you can have something surprisingly similar, at least on paper, for 1/10 of the cost. The McLaren 12C launched in 2011 with a twin-turbo V8 making 600 horsepower, and they can now be had for around half the original list price at about 120 grand. Now, this certainly is not going to be one of the most reliable cars that you've ever driven or even on this list, but it is definitely going to be the fastest, especially when it's tuned, getting you to 60 miles an hour in under 3 seconds and hitting 205 if you're brave enough. Man, that would take some big cojones. We're all about getting a great deal on a used car here at Ideal, but if you want that new car feeling, you can still get a car that looks and sounds like a supercar for under $70,000 with the honorable mention, Corvette. They've always given you the bang for buck that everybody's looking for. And the C8 gets close to a supercar, at least closer than ever before. With almost 500 horsepower and that exotic mid-engine supercar layout, there simply isn't another new car that will give you all of that at this price point. And yeah, if you can find one at or around MSRP, you've got yourself a seriously good deal. Okay, so that was the ideal list of cheap supercars. Which one is the idealist? Which is the one that I would use the Ideal Car strategies and make money enjoying? Well, it's definitely the Iron Man car, which I put my money where my mouth is. We talked about the V10, but I think the actual real steal of the deal is getting a V8 with a 6-speed manual. Not many cars ever came with a gated manual transmission, and not only does this one look like $1 million, but the 4.2 liter V8s are pretty much bulletproof. And so, if you want to learn the 7 mistakes that I see people make all of the time trying to buy and enjoy their ideal cars and make money on them, click the free sneak peek down in the description. And let me know in the comments, would you get a new Vette or would you get something more exotic on the used car market? Also, if you enjoyed this vid, hit the like button. I'm Brad, this is Ideal, and promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.